Have you ever asked for someone with no baggage to come into your life? I see this happening. I see it on the internet. And I see people posting about this stuff, essentially saying, hey, I want someone with no baggage, sort your life out before you come to me. I'm fully formed, I'm ready to go, accept me how I am, and that's it, that's the deal. Take me as I am, but you be as I want you to be. Often it's kind of in this, I suppose, relationship context, that's the kind of stuff people are talking about. But it's weird because it also goes into lots of other kinds of conversations on and offline, political, not political, things with friends and with families and all this kind of stuff. And I think that those conversations are detrimental to the quality of relationships and conversations in general everywhere. A lot of times I hear people say, oh, I don't judge people, that sort of thing. I kind of don't know where I stand on that, because I do think that you should judge people. I think we can definitely judge people. But I think that there are some caveats to the quality of our judgment. One of the main ones, I think, is that we shouldn't judge people against standards that we don't hold ourselves to. I think that that's a challenge. People do one thing, they judge other people by different standards, and I think that's easy to be very inconsistent. If that's your system, I suppose, you're just kind of ad hoc judging people, and I don't think that's very fair. I also think that if you're judging other people or actions of other people, that you have to understand that not everyone has the same judgments. Not everyone will think the same things about certain people or actions, and I think you need to understand that that's okay. If other people aren't judging people in the same way, then potentially that person or the group of people aren't judging themselves in the same way, and that's okay too, because we all sort of need our own tools to audit our own behavior and hold ourselves accountable to the kinds of people that we want to be, and that's important. And also, like, our judgments can be wrong. They can be wrong because we're missing context or information. They can be wrong because we didn't have enough time to make them, or our understanding was impeded at the time. So if you understand your judgments can be wrong, that it's not necessarily the same judgments that everyone else has, that you judge people by standards you hold yourself to and things of that nature, then I think it's okay to judge people. And I think we have to go through life, judge, am I going to do a business deal with this person? Am I going to go out with this person? Sometimes we can judge a circumstance or an individual to maybe be unsafe or untrustworthy or not our kind of person we want to hang out with all the time, that sort of thing. And that's okay. So when we say, oh, we never judge anyone, well, I think it's a bit disingenuous, because we do judge people. I think there's a difference between judging people and thinking that you're better than someone for just some arbitrary reason. And I don't think it's a good idea to run around thinking you're better than everyone for no good reason, because that's ridiculous. We should put our sense of entitlement to the side as often as possible and just sort of take everyone on face value and understand that, not everyone's going to be the same as us. And I guess that comes to my main point of like, sort your life out, don't bring any baggage, do these things. Guys, we've got to get way more comfortable with just not agreeing with everything that someone else thinks or does. We've got to be okay with liking some parts of people and disliking other parts of people. We've got to be okay with liking people in certain contexts and not in others. There's people, for instance, I've played footy with that I wouldn't go and drink with on purpose. There's people that I drink with that I wouldn't go and play footy with. They're not very good at it. I'm not much of a tennis player, so someone would need a lot of patience to play tennis with me. That's okay. In all areas and in all things, we're going to find that there's things we don't like about people. There are things that don't resonate with us as deeply, that we're not 100% aligned on. And that's okay. We just got to get so much more comfortable with being like, hey, I'm down with this person for these things. I don't really agree with this few things that they say or do, but I agree with and like these other things, and that's okay. We are all individual, complex people with a whole range of experiences and ideas and beliefs about ourselves and about the world and understandings and contexts. And it's important that we take people as being at least as complex as us. I keep seeing stuff like sort your life out, or I'm coming fully formed, so you sort your life out before we engage. But that same conversation I see in the political space where people are like, if you think this, then you are this. Don't talk to me until you think X, Y, Z. And that is not a good way to bring people together. It's not a great way to create communities where people are tolerant of different points of view and tolerant of each other. But not only that, like giving yourself a chance to like people that you disagree with or that you don't 100% agree with. I mean, you get to like so many more people. It's great. And as individuals, we don't really like being lumped into whole categories off the basis of one sort of data point, opinion, thought, whatever. We rail against that. And then at the same time, we might be inclined to do that to other people. It's a good time now to audit how you engage. If you think this, then you're this. Don't talk to me if you think this. If you do this, then you're an irredeemable write-off and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, short of a handful of very serious things that people can do, I mean, I don't see heaps of reasons to be able to write people off 100% off one opinion, one thing, one moment. Now, we might not agree with them, and certainly that's the case. I don't agree with everyone about everything. I've never found anybody that I agree with 100% on all the time, but that's part of the wonderful experience of being a human. That's how we grow. And it is actually one of the things that makes us human, is that we're capable of holding contradictory positions, that we're capable of, I don't know, thinking things that don't necessarily make sense. Sometimes when you sort of show someone that maybe they're thinking a few things that don't necessarily line up, you're able to help them audit their own behavior and go, yeah, actually, maybe I need to make some adjustments, and that can be great. But that often takes time, and it rarely happens when you just say, if you think this, then you suck, or you're a racist, or you're an idiot, or you're a whatever. So instead of demanding all of these things and saying, oh, we don't judge people when we do, and oh, I want someone that's, perfect, but, I'm already perfect, and all these sorts of things, it's really important that we just acknowledge that we're all complicated individuals ourselves, that we bring our own individual, unique experience to the world with all of those weird and unique worldviews, that we've got to be comfortable not liking some parts of people and liking other parts of people, and vice versa, and they'll come in different percentages. I really 95% like this person, and I only 5% can find a redeemable quality in this human over here. And that base beliefs can lead to completely different outcomes. It's good to be mindful that some of our very basic fundamental beliefs can be like 100% aligned and then manifest themselves in very different ways. Mafia people will say they love their families, and then to protect their family, and because they love their family, they go and do all mafia stuff, crimes and blowing up cars and all this sort of stuff. And someone else might say they love their families, and all that means is that they just work a lot to try and keep food on the table. I mean, the basic premise from which it all started was love for family, which a lot of people will agree with, and how it manifests is different. And I think we have a lot more in common in that space than we think, even though it manifests differently for different people. We should be mindful of that and try and get to those commonalities and get to those understandings, and sort of think that if you believed that to be true, would you act any differently? Like if your life circumstance was different, if your experiences were different, would you act differently? Or can you see how people might end up doing, saying, thinking, being those kinds of people, given the context that they became those people in? So, yeah, I mean, I just think maybe stop demanding that no one has any baggage when you've got a bit of your own. We all do. Maybe don't worry about judging people. Just don't hold them to different standards, and don't walk around thinking you're better than people for no good reason. We're all just people doing our best. And just get really comfortable with liking bits of people and not liking other bits of people, and that being totally okay. I think preferably we spend more time with people that we mostly like, but it's also not terrible to have to spend time with people you don't agree with. It can push us to grow and learn and understand things in ways that we can't when we're just surrounded by the same stuff all the time. So get out, look after each other, have those good conversations. Don't write everyone off all the time, and as always, just be nice.